have been liking what you've been hearing and watching, then please do like, subscribe, share, and comment in whichever order, but do subscribe. In the last few months, during this pandemic time that we were in, I'm sure many of you, even I, this thought crossed my mind that, oh, that person is in that particular field which is definitely not impacted by the pandemic, or maybe it is but not to the extent as mine. If you're a graduate, or if you are an aspiring student, you're aspiring leader or a student, and you feel that, oh, I might just have to rethink about the field that I am in, and you feel that because other people have got it easy. Well, it is not the case always, and that is why we have this particular episode today. I've invited a guest who has been in the industry, in the healthcare industry, and she never thought that she would lose her job, but she did. And this is also a special episode because we have someone who never had the experience of being an entrepreneur, and she probably was not even thinking about it until this happened. Welcome back on my first step ever. I am so thrilled and excited to have a lovely lady. She is a powerhouse. I'm a little excited and a little short of words right now. There are many firsts that happen in our life throughout our journey that we take over here. Initially, maybe in our school days, in our high school days, in a relationship, business setting. But this kind of my first step ever that has happened with our guest speaker is a bit different. That is, she decided to start a business during the most uncertain of times, which is during pandemic. So let's get started. I'm really excited to know how that idea came into her mind and how was her journey so far. So welcome, Rania Malik. It is my pleasure to have you on my first step ever. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shani. I'm very excited to be here with you and share my journey and my experience with you today.
Yes, and let's get started because as I just mentioned, starting a business during the uncertain times. Oh my God, it's really difficult to think about to get that thought. So please tell us how you got the idea and the courage, especially to start a business during pandemic.
Yeah, it was quite a unusual time to actually start the business. The idea was always there, but what had originally happened is that I lost my job during COVID, and which I thought was a very secure job. It was in the pharmaceutical industry, nutraceuticals to be more specific. And you would think that having a pharmaceutical career in nutraceuticals during the pandemic time would be, a very secure position to be in. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and I lost the job. And I thought that, it's going to be sort of, I didn't think whether I'm going to be successful or whether I'm going to fail. I knew that I had to do something, and I had to do something for myself. And I thought, well, this is the time where I have the most of the time. I'm not running around. Um, and I thought, well, it's now or never. So I decided that this was the best time for me to concentrate on something that I really wanted to do.
Lovely. There are two things that I want to highlight from what you just mentioned. One is a universal fact that is coming out of your experiences, that when a lot of people think that, oh, people in this particular profession, healthcare industry or maybe IT during pandemic must have not suffered as much as we did, or there are situations where we feel that we are not, someone is not hit as badly as we have been, and it's okay for other people to keep going on. So I think in your situation, it's a classic case where you were in industry where we cannot think of shutting down and people losing their businesses, but unfortunately that did happen with you. But there comes in your story the courage and that foresight, that no, I will keep going on. And that's amazing. So thank you for sharing that with us to start with. And the second thing is that I wanted to actually ask you this question. So while you started this journey on your own, did you have any sort of support? Did you face challenges, which I'm sure you did? And if yes, how did you overcome those challenges? What were your strategies?
The biggest challenges for me was, I guess, being part of the nutraceutical industry. We are more in tech with the retail side of the business. So all my connections, all my people that I know in the industry are from the retail side. And during the whole pandemic, the retail side of the business is what was impacted the most. So my biggest challenge was, yes, I'm going to produce products, but where am I going to sell these? Because there's no retailers that are taking on new products at the stage. So, so what I decided to do was go into e-commerce, and that's where I was able to reach a lot of my customers, because during this whole COVID time, obviously you would have heard in the news and media and whatnot that e-commerce has gone up. So certainly I had to sort of step out of my comfort zone, get away from the retail sector of the business and go into e-commerce, which has been very, very educational, because it was a learning curve for me as well. I've never sort of gone into that route of doing business, and then also I'm still learning. It's a very it's not really like one way to do
Yeah,
business. E-commerce has many different
yeah,
avenues and routes you can do, and then online, a lot of online marketing that I had to rely on at the stage. And yeah, so I guess when it comes down to the challenge, it would have to be my struggle into getting my products into retail, which I couldn't do initially.
right. And so I see that in the span of few months, you have really picked up the game on e-commerce. You're still learning, as you just mentioned. I really like this quality that you have, and I'm really impressed. Like, made a good career for yourself in the retail and the pharmaceutical company so far, but then when things changed, the external environment completely took a shift for you. You had that eye, and you were ready to and accept the changes that needed to be done in order for you to achieve what you really wanted to, which is to take a different route. As you mentioned, e-commerce, that was something that you were not really into, but now I'm sure that you have learned a few tricks that you can definitely share with other leading business people, or even our aspiring leaders and students and graduates across the globe who are listening to this podcast. The reason that we have accomplished people like you who dare to take the step is that so that our young generation can listen to you guys, understand that there are different avenues that they can take ahead, and they start as soon as possible. There's another thing that I would like to mention, if you're happy for me to mention over here, that you are also doing it at a time where you are going to be a mom soon. Yeah.
I guess that was probably my biggest challenge.
Yeah. So I, I really want to talk about a bit of a mindset over here, because having a baby, starting another baby, like, taking your business, because the business is also kind of a baby, right? You're just starting it off and
The
building it
whole
from the
of the
scratch.
baby.
Yeah. So can you share your strategies? How do you strengthen your inner environment, or maybe I'll come to that. But the first question that I would like to ask, that in any endeavor in life, to be successful, you need to have a very solid foundation, which is in your mind, within yourself. So what are your thoughts about this? And I would really love to hear.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. During this time, especially when you want to start something new, um, you can't start with thinking, "How am I going to do this? Am I going to fail?" I think that's the wrong step to start towards a business. You always have to have this self belief and be very optimistic that, okay, I'm going to do this, and have a good strategy and have a good plan. And it's very important to write your I'm very old school. I write my plans out, and I view it objectively. So it's very important to have that. or have that skill. It's a very basic thing, but it's very important as well. So yeah, when you have to think about self belief, it's very important to think that way. That yes, I'm going to do it, but in saying that you have a self belief, you have to leave your ego behind as well. So self belief without having the ego is probably one thing that you have to learn. And I've always had, good experiences in life, difficult challenges, which has shaped me up, for what I'm doing right now. And challenges are vital for experiences in life, because if you haven't had any challenges in life or in business, you're very fortunate and lucky. So when it comes to these type of things, I think that the most important thing in life is self belief, and then also learn from your challenges.
Lovely. I think you've also answered my next question, which was very much around, what are the steps or maybe a small steps that you take to keep your mind, body, soul so energized at a state where you are like, ready for anything that comes towards you and just take it on your head, and like the challenges that you take. Is there anything apart from what you've mentioned now, which is really great, because I have been following some of those tips and advice as well, and it has really worked out in my case as well. So, apart from that, is there anything that you do with your keeping yourself mentally healthy, physically healthy, and especially at this situation, that you would like to share with our listeners today?
I guess like my inner strength, as you're asking me, comes from myself within, and it comes from the challenges that I have sort of come across throughout my life. And I guess the most important lesson, or my inner strength lesson, that I have been taught, which has been taught by my father, in fact, he said to me, and I quote, he goes, "You got to take care of yourself first, because no one else will." And that really stuck with me, and he's right, because if you look at the whole situation of what's happening globally, with work, and I'm sure like a lot of people are going through personal life changes as well, that it's so important to take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of others around you. So in saying that, like, it's very important to take care of your mental health, and that is, the basic things: eating the right food, getting the right exercise. And no one's talking, when we talk about exercise, no one's telling you to go to the gym. Just go for a walk, and clear your mind and come back, and do all those basic things in life is very, very important. And I think this pandemic has basically probably taught us all what is more important. And it was always coming back to the simple things in life, being around family, being around loved ones, being around people, and eating, drinking, and socializing. So those are very important. Especially for me, it was a hard lesson learned, because I was a bit of a workaholic in that way, and this challenge has taught me to how important it is to have a work life balance, and how valuable life is, especially with the people you know that you love, and your family and your friends. I hope that I answered that question correctly.
No, I think that to each its own. And I was just about to say that I'm glad that you mentioned that. For example, if you're talking about body fitness, it's not really, just getting up and going to the gym, even if you don't want. It is the other simple steps that you can take. A small step, just going on for a walk, or you can even start dancing for like 10 or 15 minutes a day, if that's what you like, or swimming, or whatever that you like to do. What will help you, get that push to just get started. And that is the whole point about anything in life. You have to be internally so strong and so at peace with yourself that you can start things that you really want to do. So Rania, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and because I think business is not that easy piece of cake that and everyone knows that, and it's just not the knowledge, the skills of a business acumen that one needs, but also a lot of other things, which is to start with yourself and be really sure of what you're doing and have that inner strength. So both these things go hand in hand, and you cannot lose the balance. So if you do, I mean, you know where you will get to. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your journey. I really really value it. Just one last thing I wanted to know, that if you're able to share your top three learnings from your experience of starting a business in uncertain times.
Yes, I guess my three things, which I've noted here, is have a constructive plan. It's very important, as I mentioned to you. You know, be old school. Have your pen and paper. Write out a plan that this is what I want to do, and this is my outcome. It's almost like manifesting. So basically, writing down what you want to achieve from this business, and then this next thing is how you're going to achieve it. You can use a laptop for that as well, or your phone. Make notes. It's very important. And don't be scared. Like, another thing is, don't be scared. Like, as knowledgeable as you can be, as the highest connections that you can have. Don't be scared to ask for help, and ask for information, because in this world we are forever learning, and don't think that you know it all, because you never do. You never do. And another last point that I'd like to make is, it's very important for us to be surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people who are positive, who can give you the right support, and then also people that you can learn from. So surround yourself with those type of people, and I think that it makes life a little bit more easier.
Lovely. I absolutely love the particular line that you said. Oh, you're learning forever in the world. That
Yeah.
sounds like a cool tagline for the brand called Life.
Yes.
That is really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. We're always learning, and I think that it is important that you never stop learning. Because it's good for your mind, it's good for your mental health as well, and also, what's the harm?
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much, Rania, for all the help, strategies, advice that you've provided today. Coming on this platform, taking out some time at this really really challenging situation for you, and sharing it with our aspiring leaders, students, graduates across the platform, or even with people who are young at heart and want to start a second innings in their life. I'm sure it must have given them some inspiration or strategies that they can take forward. Before you leave, I really like the quote that your father once mentioned to you. But is there any other quote that you would like to leave our listeners with that you have resonated with?
Ooh. Oh, I never really thought about that, actually. Is never stop learning. And education comes in many forms. You don't have to be a doctor or university graduate. Learning means learning in every single way, learning in nature, learning in school, learning through friends. So never stop learning. That's the most important thing, because when you learn, that's when you find yourself, and that's when you find your passions. That's when you find reasons to go on with things.
That was amazing. I echo with that thought, because I think once you start learning, you understand that there's so much more to learn, and
There
that
is.
you're not there yet. There, you still have to keep moving. You don't get stagnated. You don't build ego, because there's so much to learn out there. And thank you so much, Rania, for coming on my first step ever. It was a pleasure to have you, and I had so much fun chatting with you today. If you have been liking what you've been hearing and watching, then please do like, subscribe, share, and comment in whichever order, but do subscribe. And I'm going to see you next with a new episode. Let me know what really speaks out to you in these episodes. If you like something, or if you would like to hear one particular person that you really, really want to network with or really like. Thank you and see you next week.